Here is the hard truth. Half of you listening to this right now have already bought the completely wrong phone mount for your car. And the crazy part is, it has almost nothing to do with the brand on the box.
Yep. And while you're figuring that out, a huge chunk of you are falling right into what I call the $8 trap. It's this cheap little metal plate that quietly wrecks two absolutely crucial systems in your car on the exact same afternoon. We are going to get into exactly why you need to throw that plate in the trash. But first, Dean, we really have to talk about why this actually matters.
Because I literally lived this nightmare on Interstate 95 last July. Okay, so it was 82 degrees outside, but obviously way, way hotter baking inside the cabin. I was in the left lane, doing exactly 70 miles per hour, when I just heard this sharp crack of plastic snapping. My $12 vent clip had been sitting in the sun, the plastic softened up, and the whole thing just folded. It literally dumped my 227-gram iPhone Pro Max right off my brake pedal and straight into the footwall. And man, that is exactly where the stakes are here. Think about what happens next in that scenario. You spent the next 8 seconds driving with your left hand while blind fishing around down by your pedals with your right. 8 seconds of distraction at 70 miles per hour is more than enough time to rear end somebody. So this debate isn't just about what looks cooler on your dashboard. It is about keeping a heavy, expensive brick of glass out of your footwell. Exactly. Which is exactly why we need to lay out the two main schools of thought here. I am firmly in the magnetic camp. And when I say magnetic, I mean your phone snaps right to the mount using the internal magnets. Think Apple's MagSafe or the new Key 2 standard you see on modern Androids. I'm talking about premium hardware here. The Spigen OneTap, Belkin's MagSafe fence, or Lamicall's 20 magnet hook. You get in, you snap the phone on with one hand, and you drive. It is totally seamless. Okay, but seamless does not always mean secure. I am sticking with the true vent clip. You know, the mechanical mounts that physically squeeze the device with arms. You're looking at models like the iOttie Easy One Touch 5 or Lamicall's wider clamp. They are incredibly practical. They run you anywhere from $12 to $25, and honestly, the absolute best part, they work with any phone, any case, and you never have to glue a single plate to your device. Plus, we've got to look at the very real price gap here. A solid, highly reliable mechanical vent clip essentially costs what you'd spend on lunch. Meanwhile, Marcus, your premium magnetic setups, like that ESR CryoBoost you love, that costs as much as a tank of gas.
True, but think about the everyday utility, Dean. You buy that tank of gas once and you burn right through it in a week. You physically interact with your car mount 6, maybe 8 times a day. Literally every single time you get in and out of the car. I will gladly pay the premium to not have to pry plastic arms open every single time I grab my phone.
And you really shouldn't underestimate the hold strength either. If you're looking at official Apple MagSafe specs, you are getting about 2 to 3 pounds of direct pull force. That is roughly 650 to 900 grams of force holding that phone onto the dash.
Sure, and that's totally fine for sitting completely still on your nightstand. But you hit a pothole at 40 miles an hour with a heavy case on, that magnetic hold gets weak real fast. Mechanical arms don't rely on an invisible magnetic field. They use pure, undeniable physics to lock the phone in so it physically cannot rotate off the mount.
The secret is really just the structure itself. A good mechanical mount has an adjustable foot right at the bottom and firm sidearms. When you drop your phone in and those arms close, that bottom foot takes the literal, physical weight of the device. The mount isn't fighting gravity with a magnet. The plastic and metal structure itself is doing all the heavy lifting for you. All right, I'll give you the physics, Dean, but here is the fatal flaw with clamping all that weight directly to the vent. A 2016 Civic air conditioning vane was never designed to cantilever a 10-ounce phone while you take a sharp highway on-ramp. I really don't care if you have a magnetic head with 20 and 52 magnets or the tightest plastic clamp on the market. The phone won't fall off the mount, sure, but the car's plastic vane will just snap under the stress. All you've done is make the weak point look prettier. Which actually brings up a massive warning for everyone listening right now. You absolutely have to look at your car's interior before you buy anything. If you drive a Mercedes, a BMW, or certain Lexuses with those round turbine vents, do not buy a standard spring clip. If you try to jam a straight clip into those circular turbine blades, it simply will not grab. It's going to rattle, it's going to fall out on your very first turn, and you're just going to be frustrated with a product that actually warned you on the box it wouldn't fit. And this is exactly where the modern minimalist aesthetic of a magnetic mount just wins. If you drive a Tesla or really any modern EV with those super skinny flush dash vents, you bought that car for the clean interior. A low-profile magnetic head perfectly preserves that. You really don't want Dean's massive black plastic claw blocking your airflow and completely ruining a carefully designed cabin. Hey, that black plastic claw pops on and off in exactly 10 seconds, leaving zero residue behind. That is absolutely perfect for rental cars, work trucks, or a shared family vehicle where you really don't want a permanent fixture on the dash.
Right, but if it's your daily driver, a car you actually plan to keep for years, you want permanence. That's exactly why I defend the dash mounts that use 3M VHB tape. You stick it once, you let it cure, and it becomes a rock-solid part of the dashboard that literally never rattles.
Look, if you really want the ultimate daily upgrade, you step up to a premium charging magnetic setup. Yes, it does cost more, but the specs are just incredible. The ESR CryoBoost is about $36, but it gives you 15-watt charging and literally has a built-in cooling fan to keep your phone battery from cooking in the sun. Or you grab the Peak Design machined aluminum mount. Now, that runs $50 to $80, but you get a lifetime warranty, and it genuinely looks like it came factory installed.
Okay, but Marcus, here is the harsh reality, where your premium MagSafe dream completely dies. Thick cases. If you're running a thick OtterBox Defender, or you have a pop socket, or you're just using an older Android phone, the magnetic hold falls off an absolute cliff. The magnet physically can't reach through that thick rubber or foam protection. It does absolutely nothing. And that right there is exactly what leads people right into the massive trap I mentioned at the very start of this whole debate. Because people with those non-MagSafe cases or older phones still really want the magnetic convenience. So they go buy this $8 aftermarket steel disc and they stick it straight to the back of their phone. It totally seems like a cheap fix to make a budget magnetic mount work. But you are setting yourself up for total failure. Because here is the actual science of what you just did. Sticking that steel plate directly over your phone's internal coil instantly completely kills your ability to use any wireless charger. And it gets worse. You just glued a chunk of steel right next to your phone's internal magnetometer. Your compass is going to physically spin out, and your map navigation will point you the completely wrong way for blocks until the GPS finally forces it to catch up. Yeah, we are in total agreement here. Cheap magnet kits that rely on those stick-on plates are just a really bad idea for your primary car.
Yeah. Even the well-established models like the $20 Scosche MagicMount Pro, it's completely fine if you're just throwing it in a backup vehicle or a beater truck, but relying on an adhesive steel plate and a cheap magnet is absolutely not something I would recommend for a daily driver in 2026.
Dean, especially when you factor in extreme temperatures. A parked car in the summer can easily hit 150 degrees Fahrenheit. The cheap ABS plastic inside a budget vent clip will literally warp at those temps, which causes the internal springs to lose their tension permanently.
And to be fair, extreme heat absolutely attacks the premium stuff too. Even high-grade 3M tape on my favorite dash mounts suffers roughly a 30% drop in shear strength after 1,000 hours at 85 degrees Celsius. The heat doesn't necessarily snap the mount, but it just makes the adhesive let go.
So listen carefully, because we need to outline the absolute worst combination of gear you could possibly buy. If you take anything away from this, avoid this specific setup at all costs.
The ultimate failure setup is exactly this. A cheap magnetic vent mount paired with a steel plate stuck to a thick wallet case, hanging onto a weak or round air vent, trying to hold a heavy phone over 220 grams.
Oh, it's a total disaster. The weak magnet is fighting the thick case. The steel plate is killing your wireless charging. The heavy weight snaps the delicate vent plastic. And the magnet itself actually wipes the hotel keys and gym fobs right out of your wallet case.
Honestly, just throw the plate away. Just do not use them.
Right. You absolutely have to match your mount to your case type. If you have a big case, get the mechanical arms. And above all, physically check the sturdiness of your car's air vents first before you try hanging a massive phone off of them.
There is also a major safety element with exactly where you place it. If you put a vent mount extremely low down in a truck or an SUV, you're literally looking down into your lap for your next turn. You just turned a safe, split-second glance into a highly dangerous stare.
That is exactly why I strongly suggest an extending dash arm for those larger vehicles. An Ottie model that stretches out allows you to put your maps perfectly in your eye line, exactly where a modern heads-up display would naturally sit.
So here are my final verdicts for the premium enthusiast running an iPhone 12 or newer or Key 2 Android. You want magnetic. For a really solid budget pick, the Spigen OneTap MagFit sits right between $17 and $30. For the ultimate daily upgrade, I completely swear by the $36 ESR CryoBoost with its fan and 15-watt charging. And for that flawless factory look, the Peak Design Dash Mount. It's $50 to $80, but you get that 3M VHB tape and a lifetime warranty. And for the practical buyers, the thick case users, or the serial car swappers out there, mechanical is the way to go. grab the $12 to $13 mechanical models from Lamicall or LISEN. If you want a perfectly secure twist lock mechanism that won't slowly walk off the vent over time, the $25 iOttie Easy One Touch 5 is my absolute favorite. And like I said, if you drive something tall, grab that exact same iOttie series but buy the dash mount version.
All of this really comes down to one golden rule. You must match the mount to the car first, then the phone, and then the price.
Exactly. If you actually follow that order, your expensive device stays off the floorboards. If you do the opposite and just buy whatever is cheapest without looking at your vents or your case, you just might hear that terrible sound of snapping plastic at 70 miles per hour.
Look at your own setup right now. Does it survive the physics test, or is it a disaster waiting to happen?